Lady Death was now slowly deep-throating my 11-inch member very slowly, and she had been doing this for nearly 2 hours, and then finally I came in her mouth, and then she showed me she swallowed my cum, and she moaned as she positioned herself on top of me, and she slowly rode my member in the cowgirl position for a little bit, but then she started ride me faster in the cowgirl position, and then after 5 hours I came inside her and Lady Death had a massive orgasm and she moaned loudly, and she said, "Oh my love, that feels so good, do it again," Lady Death said, and then she switched her position to the reverse cowgirl position, and I could now see her beautiful and perfectly round peach butt, and after 10 hours I came inside her vagina again, and then she stuck my penis in her butthole, and after another 12 hours I came inside her butthole, and then after that I did her in the big dripper doggy style position, and I screwed her in the butthole and the vagina while Lady Death was in that position, and then she told me to clone myself 3 times, and then I asked why, and then she said, "I want you to give me double penetration and fill all of my holes, James Gray," and then I said, "Yes ma'am," and I did as she asked me to, and I gave Lady Death double penetration for 20 years in her realm, and then finally her mind broke after Lady Death had so many orgasms and she had sex with me for so long it made her tired, and it broke her mind after she had so many mind-breaking orgasms it made Lady Death very tired, and after that I came in her mouth so many times I couldn't count anymore, and she swallowed all my cum like always, and then finally she passed out in my arms after Lady Death had sex with me for 20 years in her realm. She was now smiling and sleeping peacefully in my arms while I held her gently around the waist. I was now spooning my new wife Lady Death, and then I cloned myself and I went back home to Jessica Jones, and then I asked her, "Do you want to go on a vacation?" and then she said, "Yes I do," and then I said, "Okay. Then how about Hawaii?" and then she said, "Oh my god, I always wanted to go there," and then she asked me if she could also go to Bora Bora and New Zealand with me, and then I smiled warmly at Jessica Jones, and then I said, "Of course my love, we can go wherever you want because I am a billionaire and I do own the Amazon internet store and I also own Amazon Prime in this world anyway, I know I can help you out with all that," and then she said, "I kind of feel bad though because I feel like I'm taking advantage of you a bit," and then I smiled warmly at Jessica Jones and I said, "I love you Jessica, and you're not taking advantage of me because I'm doing the things I want to do with you and I love spending time with you Jessica Jones," and then she said, "You know what, let's travel around the world for a little while and then go to space if that's possible," and then I said, "Yes, it's definitely possible and I can help you with all of that," and then Jessica Jones smiled warmly as walked up to me and put her arms around my neck and she gently pulled me in for a gentle kiss, and then she said, "You are so handsome and perfect that it's almost upsetting," and then I said, "I just hope that my good looks don't upset the wrong person," and then Jessica Jones smiled and said, "Come here you," and then she kissed me passionately again and we started making love passionately again, and she always started off having sex with me in the cowgirl position, and then we always made love in every other sexual position, and since I now pretty much have the powers of God known as the Infinity Force, I can now completely control my human body, which means I can also choose whether or not to get a woman pregnant, and me and Jessica Jones are now married with 5 children, and we actually had 3 boys and 2 girls, and I even had to remodel me and Jessica's apartment to be safer, and I even made the kids' room bigger, and I reinforced all the walls and even the ceiling and the doors with divine first metal, a metal I discovered I could now make with my special powers, and because of this no one else could harm Jessica's apartment or her furniture, but most importantly our kids will be much safer. And then me and my wife Jessica Jones traveled all around the world, and using my powers I made Jessica a special piece of technology that allows her to use a special suit that's black and purple, and she's now able to fly and everything else because I created her a first divine metal gauntlet that has true artificial intelligence that she can command, and her first divine metal gauntlet actually functions like a smartphone computer and it's touchscreen, making everything much easier for Jessica Jones to operate. And then she said, "Oh cool, thanks for the superhero costume," and then I said, "You needed one power woman and that's your new superhero named Jessica Jones," and then she smiled at me warmly and she asked me, "What about you?" and I said, "I already have a name and my hero name is Infinity."